Okay, so this is going to be an Apdo Katarina VOD review, first-person perspective, which is always nice to watch. Katarina actually started picking up a lot of popularity on the Korean servers lately. After the Assassin rework, she was just basically non-existent. But then Faker and Apdo started playing her a ton. And for Apdo to play her is a little bit uncharacteristic of him because he, in interviews, always talked about how he couldn't play super mechanically intensive champions. For instance, the reason that he doesn't play Yasuo is because he doesn't play with Smartcast. And he thinks that Yasuo is a champion that you need to play with Smartcast on. And so he thinks that with champions that require Smartcast, he doesn't play them. So this is going to be Katarina versus Zed. And this lane is interesting. So, I mean, him moving in right away is just looking for a Q because he knows the cooldown of Zed's Q. And this is going to be pretty problematic for Zed because the minions are going to get softened up to a point where Zed is forced to make a decision between queuing the minions or queuing Apdo. But instead, Zed just walks up. He actually misses one. And then Apdo misses one. And he looks to zone again and just get another another knife, yeah. And then, okay, well, I think Apdo's trades are a little bit questionable right here, especially because Zed is guaranteed to hit level 2 before Apdo can, off that minion, yeah. But doesn't seem to matter in the end. Now, Apdo having level 2, I mean, the way that he's playing out this lane is interesting. So I think what he's thinking is that Zed's an idiot. And the way that we can probably assume that Zed's an idiot is because of how Zed walks up to push in the wave. Even though Zed gets the level 2 over Apdo, the continued assault onto the lane is just not really that good for him because it's constantly putting the lane in a position that's going to be advantageous for Apdo. So right here, Apdo's trades I think are a little bit suspect, and he's just trying to get an auto attack off when Zed goes for the auto while Zed's shuriken is down. And you can see that they're both just rushing for level 2. But the problem with this is that Zed doesn't want to keep this lane shoving in to Apdo because he can't make any use of it. And now with the E being available to Apdo, stuff's going to get really ugly. Okay, so he hits Apdo with the Q, but you can see that the lane is advantageous for Apdo, and he does this in a lot of matchups where he plays the lane defensively. And he basically always hands over temporary initiative, but in a sense it's not really initiative that he's handing over. He goes for a trade right there, and then again, Zed keeps butchering the lane, and you can see that this is intentional. The amount of spellcaster minions that Apdo's leaving up and the minions that he's choosing to hit. This all actually ties into the lane, and we're literally 3 minutes into the game, and it has been a complete destruction in the mid lane. Zed being forced to basically get away. And Apdo might be looking for a solo kill here. Nocturne is on the right-hand side of the map, so there's a few things going into this, okay? So let's go back 10 seconds. Okay. So the lane's already over at 3 minutes, and this is really, really good. If you're a Katarina player and you play against the Zed matchup, you can basically watch how he coordinates this and orchestrates this. I feel like a lot of people probably would have hit that minion. But there's no reason to hit that minion because that minion is actually pretty crucial in the added DPS. Now, unfortunately, this minion goes to actually kill it. But you see what Zed's doing? He's hitting the minion for no reason. There's absolutely no reason to actually auto-attack that minion right there, and yet he's doing it. And so Apdo might be thinking that this guy's a complete clown, because that's what I'm thinking right now, is that this guy's an idiot. And Apdo seizes an opportunity, and he goes for the trade, and Zed actually manages to get away. And now, I mean, the lane is still in such a bad position. You can see that Nocturne is in the right-hand side of the map, and what this is going to basically allow is now Apdo can play basically inside of this pocket, even further up. He can play inside of this pocket freely. There is absolutely zero threat for him right now, and because of what Zed did to the lane, this is a scenario that you see in solo queue a lot, where solo queue players blame their jungler. So Zed mismanaged the lane really, really poorly, and Apdo intentionally manipulated it into a scenario where he could both find a solo kill if Zed would misplay, and at the same time, he's put Zed and his jungler under a boatload of pressure. So this is just a massacre. And you can see that he's not taking the dagger at all, and he's just letting Zed continue to shove. Now, Zed, a little bit suspicious, actually. Zed begins to move up into the lane. And I don't like this pocket right here. I think that Apdo should continue to play on the other pocket, but it doesn't matter because he's choosing to go for a solo kill. So Zed, if we go back and we see how this transpires, okay, Zed begins to get a little bit aggressive. And suddenly, Zed goes from playing like a complete bitch to actually getting up in Apdo's face, okay? We know that there's no pressure coming over here. We also know that we are completely in the fog of war over here, okay? So what this could actually mean is that the enemy jungler is probably taking wraiths, or the enemy jungler is right around here somewhere, okay? And Zed is just feeling comfortable because then he would run over into the river if Apdo tries to get cheeky. But I think that his over-aggression basically gives away the fact that he doesn't know how to play mid lane, because Zed is really mismanaging this. So that was really interesting. If we go and we watch this again. So Apdo actually sees First Blood. It's a pretty extended First Blood. So he E's instantly. He hits the Q. He gets the reset on E again, and then he finds the perfect solo kill. And meanwhile, if you take a look at top lane, the other thing that ties into this is it's unlikely that the jungler is going to go to the enemy top, because there's zero gank potential. And now all that he's trying to do is shove this lane in as quick as possible. And he's keeping his E up, and then he uses it, I guess, because he feels like there's no chance for him to get ganked. There's too many minions. It acts as too much buffer. This recall, it's not bad, but it's a little bit unnecessary because if Fiddlesticks comes out, then he's just going to stall it. So right here, he actually opts into Sork Penetration Boots. I think this isn't something he would do against a better Zed, but we've already established that Zed's movements inside of the lane and just the way that he's played it is really bad. So I don't think this guy actually plays mid lane. Or if he does, then he's just nowhere near Apdo in terms of level. So Apdo's even doing things that I think are a little bit questionable. So he goes and he gets a ward. Now, we can determine that Zed played up and he played aggressive, right, when he got solo killed, okay? That was probably indicative of Fiddlesticks being nearby, all right? Now, all of a sudden, he's gone into full bitch mode. And so because he's gone into full bitch mode, we can assume that Fiddlesticks is nowhere around, and then Fiddlesticks actually shows up in top lane. He's doing some cute little plays with the Q and the E, and you can see what's also happening to the lane. So even though he pokes the lane right there, that's completely fine, because again, it's a destruction, because this guy doesn't have the discipline to not use spells. He doesn't have the discipline to just, you know, use his W defensively and look to make things happen. And now Fiddlesticks is going to die. Yep. And that's going to be blue buff onto Apdo, so the CDR. And now you can just see that he's just trying to trade really hard. And now he's going to start to auto-attack the minions, because he knows that from this point, you can't actually lock this. The minions weren't going to be enough to really create a lock on the lane that would have it push back into Apdo. So here, it's all about just actually shoving the lane in, and then probably looking to roam. And so the Sork Penetration Boots are specifically designed to accelerate. You may notice this when he goes Ionian Boots first item on TF. It's designed to do a lot of map pressure and a lot of roam play. And what he's trying to do here is, so we know that Fiddlesticks just died, okay? And if we go back in time, we would have Fiddlesticks Death Timer. What you can do from that is you can track Fiddlesticks through the Fog of War. And we know, because of Fiddlesticks' left side jungle being completely compromised, we know that from the position of top lane, we know because of what's happening in mid lane, we know that Fiddlesticks' route is going to be one of two things. It's either going to be route A, or it's going to be route B, or it's going to be route Tyler 1, okay? But because it's likely to be route A or route B, Apdo just goes to get a warden on it. That way they know exactly what's going on, and he's providing assistance to bottom lane. Here, he's about to have level 6. You can see Zed is actually potioning up. That's indicative of Zed's desire to continue to stay inside of the lane. But Apdo is basically just looking for poke, and you saw him doing this early on, level 1. He's just looking for poke because he wants to kill Zed. But you can see the destruction basically happening in mid. The lane, again, is pushing into Apdo. He has complete control over it. And now he's just looking to kill... He's looking to kill Zed. But because he misses the opportunity right there, now we're just going to see him burst the entire lane into the turret. Because he doesn't really care. In fact, he might actually just go to try to kill Fiddlesticks. He might look for a solo kill before Zed hits level 6. A little bit interesting that he didn't actually Q him. I feel like this would only ever work against a low MMR jungler. And he's looking for Fiddlesticks. So this is complete disrespect. There's nothing else to say about this. This is complete disrespect. Zed doesn't even go for... Okay, he does finally go for it. Wow. Alright, so Zed's really bad. And we know that Apdo knows that Zed's really bad. And now it looks like Apdo's content to just try to maybe wait until 7. Gangplank actually gets a solo kill onto Echo. And meanwhile, Apdo's coming down here to try to kill... Okay, well, that's unfortunate. Oh, okay. He gets the kill onto Zed, and then the reset, and Blitz is there too. Double kill for Apdo. And now all that he's trying to do is run. I'm pretty sure that if Alistar would try to like flash pulverize or something, then it could turn ugly. He realizes that his teammates are here, and now he's looking for outplay potential. Yeah, and he finds the kill onto Corki. And so this is something that if you're a low MMR player or you're like a mid-diamond player, you need to be doing stuff like this. You need to be cognizant of the limits of your champion and what can you do relative to what your opponents are doing. So if we go into this, right, most people would probably just be thinking to themselves, okay, let me get the hell out of here and let me go to mid lane and farm the wave, right? But you see that Jinx is on the way, and you also see that Corki is coming up. All right, you still do a boatload of damage, and you have a potion ticking. So he just throws the Q in to sort of offer out damage because he knows that, all right, Corki throws the Profferous Bomb, he throws the Gatling Gun, Alistar uses up his knock-up, he's not going to have his heal, he's not going to have his headbutt, etc. They're going to be all just reduced to auto attacks. Well, if you look at, Apdo's HP, it's at 341 right now, probably going to be like 400 by the time he chooses to go in because he has that potion ticking. Okay, and then he looks to turn around, and then he gets right into the fight. And this is something, again, players wouldn't normally do this unless you're really high up on the MMR. You wouldn't make the decision to look for outplay potential. And at the same time, I mean, he's conserving flash as well. So it's all turning out to be really nice. And so now, before he recalls, he knows that he's not under pressure from Zed because Zed is going to be right here. Zed is right here right now, most likely, if he's using his shadows. So Zed's about to show back up on the minimap. Where the fuck? There, okay. Oh, he doesn't have boots. Alright. So he gets Rylai's, and he gets a control ward, and he just moves out onto the map. You could make the argument for staying for a potion here, but he probably would actually lose minions in mid. Because if Zed is intelligent right now, what Zed wants to do is actually hyper shove in this wave and then look to make a roam. What Apdo could be thinking, and what everyone's probably knowing, is that Fiddlesticks is headed to the right side of the map. So with Fiddlesticks heading to the right side of the map, and he's going to have his blue buff, basically Zed should be looking to move on to that side of the map. And Apdo wants to play right-centric, because there's zero incentive for Fiddle to come from the right-hand side of the map. Inferno Drake is up. As long as Echo plays safe and plays defensive, everything's going to actually be okay. So now the pockets, all right, so if we cut mid lane up into imaginary lines, okay, so there would be lines that actually start back here, okay, but let's just, for sake of the discussion, right, let's use like a football field, okay, and then we keep drawing and whatever, okay, and then you number these, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You can view mid lane like this, and then relative to the position of the map and the position of the champions and what you can assume from the information that you've gathered, you can come to conclusions on what pockets and what areas you're going to be playing in. And then you could even doctor this up even more, and it could be like 3 north and then 3 south, right? It could be 6 south and 6 north, if you want to break this up into even more squares and more grids. And this is pretty important because it doesn't matter what mid lane champion you're playing, doesn't matter what mid lane matchup you're playing, you can think about what the champions have to offer and what it means to these imaginary lines, because each of these lines, each of these distances is a pretty good pocket. It's a pretty good reference point of what we can assume to play inside of. And so against Fiddlesticks, right, if Fiddlesticks comes from around here, then obviously the safest pocket to play into is going to be like down here inside of 5, anywhere inside of 4, and then you can play also down into 3. There's nothing dangerous, okay? From Fiddle coming from this angle or this angle, there's absolutely nothing dangerous. If Fiddle comes from this angle, even playing inside of 4 and playing inside of 5 is still going to be safe. Now, you don't want to be playing inside of the north end of 5. You don't want to be playing inside of the north end of 4. You don't want to be inside of 3. And you don't even want to cross, really, 3. The only time that you can cross 3 is inside of this, okay? This is the only time that you can cross 3, really, in this scenario. So Apdo is going to be playing inside of all of these. Okay, we might see him actually go to CS that, but for the most part, that's what we can assume that he'll play inside of relative to Fiddlesticks. Now he's just CSing. He has his E up. And I wish that the quality was higher because then you can also watch his eyes. This is something that I talk about a lot, and you can see Apdo is actually moving down. Or I think that's called darkness, right? They actually give the kill to Quirky, and now he's moving back up. And I don't know what he's looking at right now. I think that he is just looking at his minimap. You can watch his eyes, and anytime they look down, you can see how often he's actually looking at the minimap. And this is why I want higher quality VODs, is because sometimes you can see how often a pro player looks at the minimap. Because basically nothing gets by these players. Okay, and so now he comes up here. And what he's doing is he's basically scouting for Fiddlesticks. He sees that the blue buff is gone, but he also sees how Gangplank's playing the lane. So you see a ping go down on the right-hand side, and this is probably because Alistar and Fiddle are trying to maybe make to look something happen. Quirky gets a kill onto Jinx, but Nocturne finalizes the kill onto Quirky. And now it's a little bit questionable. There he is. There's Fiddlesticks. So they were making to look a play, and we can know that actually off the scrying orb. Jesus Christ, fucking everything, huh? Holy shit! So okay, let's take a look at how we know that Fiddle's here. All right, it all goes back to the scrying orb. Now again, it's important that while we can determine that, you know, these are logical thought processes and it does give away where the enemy champion is, to process it inside of the game is an entirely different story. Wait, where's the scryer? All right, this is where he goes for the scryer. So he comes up, and the other thing that this does is it also gives information on his own wraiths. Because if the wraiths had been gone, then maybe he actually has incentive to check red. So when the scryer goes down, okay, let's take a look at some stuff. We have Echo freezing up in top lane. We have Gangplank having a pink ward inside of the river. We have blue buff gone. All right. On top of that, we have what's happening in bot lane going on. And then we know that Fiddlesticks, remember when we were playing inside of those pockets on the bottom half of the map? We know that Fiddlesticks was not in, he doesn't have a Wraith camp to go to, and he doesn't have golems to go to. And we know that he had to go to the left-hand side of the map. So now, when we see that blue buff is gone, there's a few lines that Fiddlesticks can take. He can either take the NA line, which is Gromp Wolves, okay? Because all they fucking do is farm. So we can take the NA line and do Gromp Wolves, which doesn't do anything. He can take line number 2, which is blue into Wraiths, because then it protects Zed from any sort of gank attempts in mid, and it sets him up in the closest proximity to do something to Katarina. So we can do blue Wraiths, because then this also has synergy with Alistar if he comes. Or alternatively, we could do blue Recall, which, I mean, I'm not a giant fan of this, okay? You can do blue Recall mid, and you can look to make a gank, and then if the gank is successful, then you farm Wraiths plus Golems, okay? So then you do a full clear as a reward clear. So we can determine that these are all of Fiddlesticks' lines that he's likely to take. And now, if we do determine that, then if we go back to the imaginary lines, the safest part or point in the lane for Apdo to play inside is actually just going to be in the center. It's going to be anywhere inside of the center. But he doesn't actually do that. And we can think that he's not doing that because he's as far ahead as he is, and probably he is definitely, we've already established that he's disrespecting the Zed and he's disrespecting Fiddlesticks. So we can see that Fiddle's here, and then Apdo's actually, now he could have gotten away from this. He could have just gone right. But instead, he's actually looking for outplay, which I think that's really, really, really bizarre. But he definitely could have just gone right. So this is all very interesting. And then he actually continues to run north because he probably assumes that Gangplank's actually coming from river, but Gangplank actually came from above, so it ends up killing Apdo. Some people are asking why I didn't flash the wall, and that's what I was saying about the greediness, is that he was looking for outplay and then he realized he couldn't get it. But he realized too late. So now, it's the part in the game where it's a little bit unique of a scenario where Zed is a melee mid laner. So bot lane is actually able to rotate to mid sooner than they would like. But now you see Corki in bottom actually shoving it in. Jinx is showing us that she is going to be the one that might try to hold Apdo back. Nocturne finds the kill, and you can see Apdo continuously moves down. Now, the thing here is, when the bottom turret is raised at such an early point, the standard traditional rotation by ADCs and supports, unless the dragon is very important, such as like Infernal or Mountain, is going to be, they're going to shove it in, and then it depends. Did they shove a wave to make the lane go dark, or did they not shove a wave? In this scenario, they actually did shove a wave to make it go dark. So what they can do here is they can run down mid, okay, shove in the wave, and then look to go top lane, and then Echo actually goes down to bottom. The problem is if there's a really important dragon and your mid laner's behind or your top laner's really far behind, this can end up being problematic if, you know, the enemy team is actually securing a way to capture the dragon or threaten the dragon. But because it's a unique scenario where, even though it's as early as it is, Zed is a melee mid laner. You could do the same exact thing probably against Yasuo. You could do the same probably thing against Talon. You could do the same thing against, I don't know, Malphite. You could do the same thing against, well, maybe not Malphite. Actually, Malphite, yeah, probably. You couldn't probably do it against Galio because of his wave clear. Even though he's melee, he's still a mage. And you can begin to assault this turret, and then you can actually keep your top laner up and top, and then you can have Apdo rotate down. So again, this is sort of like the Bopo VOD review that we just did, where it's just always looking for outplay potential and looking to make things happen. And now Apdo is just going to shove in this wave, and he'll probably, okay, we look at our own map and we see this minion wave, which means that the minion wave is right here. Okay, if we look at the mini-map, we know that it's unlikely that they can send anyone to stop us in bottom. So Apdo's probably just going to shove this lane and make it go dark. This is also a perfect opportunity for Jinx to go mid, shove mid, and then we hand off all the rotations. So in a perfect world, okay, if you're a top laner and you're watching this, or if you're an ADC, and you want to know what to do, because I'm not really sure what the level is of Echo and what the level is of Jinx. What you can do in a perfect world is there's one of two options. Because Apdo got a solo kill on the enemy ADC, and we know the enemy ADC is right here, you guys can have ADC support come mid, shove mid, come down to Drake, eat Drake, ADC mid, go mid, stay mid, and then Apdo recalls, goes top, he takes the baton from Echo, Echo goes bottom. Okay, the other line is just doing that but faster. So you would have Apdo recall, and then you would have Apdo run down to mid after the ADC and the support have cleared out the wave and the lane has gone dark. Our Apdo arrives back to mid lane, and then the jungle will play on the side of the map relative to the enemy or your bot lane and the next tier 1 outer turret that you're looking to capture. This would be a high level rotation, and Echo would just go bottom while conserving this teleport. After the enemy, or after your ADC and support end up clearing the tower, because Apdo is able to have forward initiative in mid, and Nocturne's able to play on the left-hand side of the map, or west-centric jungle, you can then recall both of these people, and then what ends up happening is your top tier 1 tower becomes a sacrificial pawn. ADC and support come back down to mid, unite with Apdo, shove in the lane, gain control over all of this vision, and then look to capture dragon and unite with the top laner. After that, you can then recall and reset lane allocation. You wouldn't do this unless it's super, super, super high MMR. One of the alternative lines is actually what just happened as well, where if the jungler is super far ahead, he could just solo Drake, and you can actually proceed to do one of the rotations that we just talked about. All right. So now we see that Echo is being a bonobo, and Apdo is not really paying too much attention to it because he knows that nothing can really happen. He takes the blasting plant, no reason not to, and then he sees that maybe there's going to be a fight on the left-hand side of the map, so he immediately moves over to it. Sees Zed, and he does the Q, he gets his reset back up, actually eats a Q from Zed, but then Echo ends up going down. And this is something that's really stressful because this is a trademark low MMR play. It doesn't mean that you have the right to flame or rage at your teammates, but there is a lot of lost opportunity for what Apdo's team could be doing. So right here, he goes, and Alistar actually saving the knockup, and Apdo's probably going to go down. And, okay. So we look at this again. All right, now this is a scenario where Apdo's team doesn't want to fight. It doesn't matter that he's 7-1. He's still not strong enough to just dance around. So you can see right here that his teammates are completely out of position. And now the question is what do? Do you just let them die? Well, in this scenario, no. The fight is just actually misplayed, and it's actually won by Alistar. They don't get the kill onto Zed. And then Apdo's actually just late with his E again, and Fiddlesticks arrives, and then Nocturne continues to botch this, and it just ends up being a horrific trade. So they actually lost 3. Oh, but they end up salvaging a kill on Fiddlesticks because Fiddle's an idiot. Now in a scenario like this, if Fiddle doesn't die, they can just stay mid, Fiddle can drain heal up off the cannon minion, and then Gangplank can get top lane. But Apdo's beginning to basically fall into decisions that aren't going to be the best, and it's relative to his advantage. If he didn't have the advantage that he had right now, definitely wouldn't be playing like this. So this is one of the things that's unique about him as well, is that he doesn't necessarily always follow logic. He follows game flow. Much like, some, if I'm going to make a poker player analogy, much like some, top-level poker players play people rather than logic and EV and stuff in some cases. He's very similar in that regard, which helps separate him from some mid laners in the world, because he factors a lot of his decisions into the psychological components of the game. All right, so now he's looking again for another solo kill. And I don't think he's going to get it. Yeah, he doesn't get it. Okay. And he's taking the CS away from Jinx. And then you can see that, everyone's basically not rotating very well. Now Jinx might die here. And he realizes that he can't save her, and so they just back off. He's not actually typing anything in chat. I'm watching to see if he types anything. He is definitely speaking, but I don't have the volume on, otherwise I would maybe be able to translate. And he could have gotten the kill there, I'm pretty sure. But I don't think that he was trusting Blitz to get that pull, or he wasn't thinking Zed would get hit. So, I mean, this is a really difficult scenario right now, where Zed isn't really that far behind in CS. The shutdown gold for the enemy team is really big. You can see that he's constantly shoving in the wave, because the goal right now for him is to keep the lanes as dark as possible and then try to make plays happen in the sides of the map. Looks like he's going to be going Zhonya's next. He has a recall for Fiendish Codex, but he probably also wants to get level 11. You can see what Alistar's doing, locking that lane there. That's actually really, really good for his team. Now Corki's going to be able to pick up that entire wave, and stuff's starting to get a little bit out of hand. And all the pressure is on Apdo right now. So he's staying mid lane because he wants to make a fight happen. He gets level 11, and you can see now that he's roaming down. And this is basically like he's just trying to look to capture initiative. Okay, Nocturne. Huh? Wow. Nocturne was pretty slow. He looks a little bit frustrated right now. And now, I mean, he just failed his gank attempt. and he's just going to shove in this wave, because you have to know that, again, they can't come to you. Now, this is risky, okay? Eating these three, not risky. Eating these three, risky, right? Because let's bring up those imaginary lines, okay? Eating these can be a little bit risky, and you can see that's why he's actually a little bit hesitant. But then once everything happens in mid lane and the Gangplank ult is devoted to there, then he looks to make a play. Now, I don't like this route that he took. Zed actually is able to find his way out, and you can see that while he's moving backwards, his eyes are on the minimap only. And he's just basically looking to see what's happening on the map. They might kill, okay. It's amazing how he doesn't tilt. Inferno Drake is going to be the next dragon. That's really, really, really important for Echo Jinx and Nocturne. And he's probably going to try to look for a double kill here. Yeah, the Ignite. Yeah, he finds the kill there, and now he's looking for Corki. He determines that he can't actually get to Corki, and they're just going to shove in this wave. Now, all that you have to be aware of is, you know, where is Zed? He sees Corki over there, and now he's going to look to zone Corki out. Because if Corki tries to get cute and come through this this narrow passage, he can just kill him. Now, Corki's going to Valkyrie. Corki has to Valkyrie. Okay, Corki's an idiot. Or maybe Corki didn't have the mana. But he's looking to get this tower, and fortunately for him, he has a Jinx, and he has the red buff. So they're able to get the tower, and now they're going to just move to back up and get the dragon. So even though he didn't get the double kill there, which I think he would have had if he just let the Ignite tick, okay, he might die here. Yeah. And he's... Oh, what? Alright, so killing this ward is actually pretty safe because, like, we can't assume... I don't think that we can assume that Zed's going to come from this angle. You would have to assume that Zed comes from the left-hand side. So I think killing this ward is actually fine. He gets locked up, and then Zed appears, and you can see that he does the EW, so he gets the reset, and then he does the R, and you can just see the MMR that jinxes. It just, basically, it says that she's bad. She wasn't there, she had free deal, and they could have actually successfully chunked Alistar, and they could have chunked Zed, and then Nocturne actually shows up. They don't get the kill. Nocturne actually runs to his death, and now that's really bad because they should have just taken the kill, and then, oh, that's not an Inferno Drake, that's a Water Drake. That's actually not that worthwhile. So now you can see what Apdo's thinking, where he's looking again. He's saying, how do I get as much gold as possible? A little bit surprised that he doesn't actually take Wraiths, but maybe that would mean that the wave goes into the turret. Okay, that is what it would mean. So the wave would have gone into the turret. Now he's just going to shove out top lane. He's just trying to get, again, as much farm as possible. And you can see that in between everything he's doing, he's looking down at the minimap. I wish that the video quality was actually higher. And now he's choosing to stay up in top lane, and I feel like this isn't the best decision, but it's not the worst, because you know that they're at dragon. You can definitely get away with shoving one more wave, but I think it really comes down to what does he want to itemize, because maybe that gold is actually going to be excessive. While you do shove the wave in, it would actually be beneficial to have the lane shoved back into you, but that's for competitive. I guess that's not necessarily for solo queue. So he does actually have excess gold. So we have to wonder why he chose to do that. Because the experience wasn't important, and neither was the gold, because he was able to afford the Blasting Wand anyway. Now, with Nocturne's ultimate about to come up, but Nocturne being in bottom, it looks like they're trying to get a kill onto Zed, and then he has to be really careful here. He just throws a Q, and he gets away. Gangplank. That's a really dangerous... Okay, they didn't follow up. That could have been really, really, really bad. That could have been really bad. Oh, it's going to be over. Yeah, he's going to win. He's just trying to live, and now he presses the Zanyas. And Zed gets the final kill on him. So we can take a look at this again, because his team actually fucks up. This is basically Blitzcrank's fault. So he's throwing the Q, and he doesn't want to take any more damage from Gangplank. I think that Gangplank shooting the barrel is a little bit bad. You can see that Nocturne's coming up, and you can see that Zed was coming up. So here, even though Blitz shouldn't pull this, Apdo shouldn't actually be here. This is a mistake, and then he actually moves back in. So he takes a lot of damage, but it was really fortunate that the enemy team did not follow up. Because you can just see that they weren't in position. They just were not ready for this. And you could make the argument that, oh, well, that's obvious why Blitz pulled, right? But no, that's not why Blitz pulled. Like, they don't need to move back here. They could easily just stay here. You know, they're missing like 4 centimeters. Right? And if that happened and they were all just up here and they get free deal, I mean, Cat would just die. Cat would just die, and I'm pretty sure that Blitz would die. I don't know about Jinx from that angle. Well, I guess maybe Cat wouldn't die. She would Zanya's, though. But Blitz would definitely die, and then this would all just turn really ugly. So this is fine. Zed gets the shutdown on Cat, doesn't really do anything. Now they're looking for the kill onto Zed, and they have to be really careful here. Echo does have ult, Proto Belt's in. Is there a blasting plant? There is. He might just go over the wall. Yeah. Gets the, okay, yeah, really, really risky. And Nocturne's trying to chase onto him, but it doesn't matter. And Apdo is just basically watching for intel. Now, Nocturne's probably going to eat this. Yep. And now, if you're Apdo, you should probably just head bottom lane. There's no reason to go anywhere else. Oh. Okay. That was a good pick-off by Nocturne. And then I think because Zed actually dies here, he doesn't need to go bottom lane. He's going to just path mid. And Echo is going to actually be the one to go bottom. Someone has to go bottom here. This is a situation where actually everyone should have gone mid, pushed in the wave, and then gone top. Because then you directly attack the vision surrounding Baron. And you apply pressure to the Baron pit, and you get all their wards around it, away from their support. And no one is really in, okay. No one's actually in a position to make anything like that happen. Oh, and he got jebaited, but doesn't matter because Jinx was there. So they get 2 kills, and he's going to recall here. And unfortunately, he recalls in an unsafe spot. Throws the Q, and he's looking for outplay potential again. So Blitz is there, and yeah, we're going to see him go in, 100%, yeah. And the game is just turning on its head. Okay, and so now they're probably going to be able to get mid lane turret. He gets Void Staff. And the Echo is, I don't know if that was an all chat, but he said good job, or like good work, good work. Blitz actually misses, I think, a pretty easy pull because Fiddlesticks was locked into animation. And Fiddle's just going to die here. Oh, no, he flashes away. And they might not get, see, this is low MMR. This is low MMR. They're clearly not all on the same page. Them getting the kill onto Fiddlesticks is pretty variance. But they're not on the same page. I feel bad for Apdo. So now he's heading top lane, and the reason that you want to head top lane here is because if you're thinking like, you know, what's going through his head, Dragon is 2 minutes away. Okay, you just got Void Staff, you have another blasting, you're looking to just make stuff happen still, but you want to attack all of the vision around Baron Pit. Even though Fiddlesticks isn't up, this is going to be the focus. And also, I mean, additionally, the tier 1 outer turret in top lane still exists, so you have to clear that out. Jinx getting killed is really bad right there. Zed should go bottom. Zed should go bottom, not Corki. Shouldn't be Corki, it should be Zed. Shouldn't... What? The fuck? What? Holy shit, the fucking video finally buffered. Alright, I was just hearing someone speak Chinese, so I don't know what the hell was going on there. The other Apdo video actually just buffered. It just finished buffering, and so I was hearing some chick speak Chinese. It was the weirdest thing in the world. So you can see all the pings coming in, and this is why he had to go top lane. This is 100% why he has to go top, because you have to deny this. You can't let them get Baron. Even without Fiddlesticks, that doesn't really matter. This is also why Zed should have been bottom and not Corki. Because Zed can close the gap quicker, and then it also gives Zed a free flank, because there's no mid tier 1 turret. There's no mid-tier 1 turret, and you know that there's likely to be almost no vision on the right-hand side of the map, so they don't know when Zed is coming up. So now you can see Apdo's actually pathing down to bottom, but that would be a mistake. This is a mistake. It's because of the MMR. Now, though, when the enemy team backs off, it's going to be rewarded, and now the decision to B bottom is actually fine, but the decision to path down bottom initially is a mistake. But I think it's because he knows that the MMR is uncoordinated. Finally, Darkness comes out, and he's able to shove in this wave. And what this does is it also provides the guarantee that bottom lane will be completely dark when Dragon comes up, which it's a pretty important Drake. It's Mountain. Now he's going to recall. He doesn't really get anything off the recall, though, so it's a little bit suspect why he's recalling. Oh, he's going to sell Darksteel. Okay, he sells Darksteel, and he gets his large. Okay. So now it's not all that bad. And now he's heading down to Dragon. So basically, if you rewind, all right, if we rewind to when he decides to go bottom, okay? So let's just go a little bit further. It's going to be right here, okay? So they have one member recalling. Top lane is probably going to get pushed back in to Apdo's team. But we've also seen that this Blitzcrank doesn't know what he's doing, and Nocturne doesn't know what he's doing. Now, from this angle, okay, you guys don't have any vision on their left side jungle. All right, yes, you have mid inhibitors down, but you don't need to go bottom right away. Like, you can easily go bottom after the decision is made that they're not going to get Baron, and you can see that Fiddlesticks is posturing and stuff. But there was not enough proper vision for him to make the decision to go bottom, because he can't know for certain that the enemy team's not going to look for a fight or not look to do anything. Because Apdo is the majority of his team's gold also. So he comes bottom and he ends up getting everything, and I know what his thought process is. His thought process clearly is to get death cap. So we can probably calculate that that's what he wants to get. He pulls the entire wave back as far as possible. Kills it, and then he recalls into death cap. So okay, now we're gonna head to Dragon. Or he wants to get the Needlessly Large Rod. Although Needlessly Large doesn't really offer that much different AP, I don't think. I mean, I guess it's a little bit noticeable, but there's a chance that he could have gotten the Darksteel up more. He could have Magized, actually, but he does just want the death cap. Okay, and they get Infernal Drake, and they get Zed, and now you can just see like what he's looking at. He just wants to kill Fiddlesticks. He gets the kill on Fiddle. He deletes Alistar from the game. Now it's going to be about trying to get Gangplank. That was a really cute play. He actually even jukes. Wow. Wow. Okay, let's watch this. So you can see that he's trying to get here. You could make an argument if he had flash to actually go into the pit and get a flank, but that doesn't really matter. He comes here, he kills Fiddle, he doesn't have to use exhaust, and now he's getting here. So you can see that he does that with the blasting plant, he gets onto Gangplank, gets the reset on the E, bounces back to try to dodge the Q and dodge the redemption. It was super, super sick. They get the kill onto Gangplank, and now they're both just going to shove in bottom and probably get the turret. So now Nocturne has red buff, and I mean, he's a physical damage dealer, and he has attack speed, so this turret's probably going to go down relatively quickly. Apdo just trying to get the farm from the wave, which is completely fine. And now they probably just recall, although there is red buff coming up, and he's pathing to it. I think he just pinged that red buff is coming up, or red buff's coming up, right? I didn't look at the tab. Counter jungling the Wraiths, just trying to hurt Fiddlesticks as much as possible, because you have to know that at this point, you know, they still have members dead. They don't have their ultimates. Gangplank doesn't have his ultimate. They don't have Gangplank. He's not on the map, etc., right? You don't need to recall. You don't need to get into position. Okay, you can easily take your time, because as soon as they spawn, the stuff that they're looking to do is wait for everyone spawns. They're waiting for their ultimates to come up. They're waiting for you know, the position to be right for them to try to do some sort of a Baron play, because the enemy team's only way back into the game is going to be Baron. So you can take your time and easily just try to counter jungle Fiddle as much as possible. And now we're just watching this fight. Apdo's not there yet. Probably just going to see him pick up the kill onto Gangplank. He does get the kill onto Gangplank. And unfortunately, Nocturne went down, but that's not the end of the world, because they have more than enough damage, and they have the Mountain Drake where they can just shred Baron Nashor, and yet they're not going for it, which is a little bit suspicious. And then Apdo's actually coming in to look for a fight. Blitz should have just actually gone on, Blitz should have just gone on Alistar there. You can see that he's looking for the angle in on Corki. He did not want Alistar. Did not want Alistar. Yeah, he's tanking the turret, so Blitz had the opportunity to get a pull, but he doesn't find one. So now all that we're really looking for is the ability to get to death cap. All that he's thinking about right now is death cap. You have Echo down in bottom. Okay, he gets stopped by Gromp. Alright, recalling in a spot where he's not likely to be found, but then you can see that Corki fucks up. So now we're gonna kill Corki. So now we're gonna recall again. Except now Zed actually shows, Paranoia goes down, and this is a pretty tricky situation. And he goes in, but not able to find a kill. They might just get him. Yep. Shouldn't have followed through on that. And Echo wasn't there at all. So they misplay really badly. And he knows it. He knows that they misplayed. There was no reason to continue to head on into the Fog of War. There was no reason for Nocturne to pull the trigger. He had the death cap, and he didn't need to do anything else. So they're going to trade Baron for a mid inhibitor, which, I mean, it's not the worst trade in the world. The fuck? Blitz doesn't die. What the fuck? Holy shit. That guy lived in eternity. Like, the screen went off him, and then he's still alive. Alright. Jesus, fuck. Blitz is fucking Betty White. That's Betty White Blitz. 2016 didn't get her. Alright, so anyways, I don't know what the hell Blitz was trying to do there, but failed to get the Baron. It's not the end of the world. Mid inhibitor actually did not go down, so that actually is bad. The trade for mid inhibitor, why it would have been sort of okay, is because their team composition basically has 2.5 assassins, Echo being a pseudo assassin, and if they can just get kills, then they can just run it up mid. So, all right. Just shoving in mid, and you can see that Apdo's waiting in Fog of War. You have to know at this point that there's no chance that they have vision in these areas. And he missteps again. But it doesn't really... Oh, it's gonna matter. It is gonna matter. Oh, but Fiddle actually doesn't stay on... Oh, the exhaust comes down. Yeah, Apdo actually making mistakes. And you have to basically wonder if it's because of the MMR. Because I don't recognize any of these names. And he has to know that he's a lot better. He seems a little bit annoyed right now. If Jinx goes down, this is really bad if Jinx goes down. Oh... What? Alright, Echo's here. He's gonna... Oh, no, he's not. No. Echo's best bet would be to proxy the wave, because Nocturne was coming up the front. You know what I mean? One in the back, one in the front. No? Just gonna die instead? Okay. Oh, yeah, that's fair. Keeps on him. Okay. Apparently fucking Fiddlesticks' drain is like Dr. Manhattan. It exists in the past, present, and the future. It knew... Like, what the fuck? Dr. Manhattan Fiddlesticks. Look at that. He gets a Negatron Cloak, and I don't understand... Well, I guess the Negatron Cloak is to deal more damage to Gangplank, because Gangplank's stacking MR. Because he's going to go Abyssal Scepter. So if you want more information on the Abyssal Scepter, then there's a Reddit thread, actually, that explains it. Echo's build is so bizarre. So bizarre. And now Apdo's just looking for poke onto Alistar. This is actually frustrating because I don't know exactly what MMR this is, right? But think about his team if it wasn't Apdo. That's just a free loss. Now, I mean, giving up Dragon isn't the worst thing in the world. That's not so worthwhile. He's headed down to bot lane to pick up the farm. Basically, all that he wants to do right now is he wants to get to Abyssal Scepter. That is a very, very big wave. Oh, missed a CS. Alright, he got the final one. There's no reason that he doesn't shove the bottom wave here. He actually picks up a Sork Elixir, and this is something that you do that, you know, if you know that a game-ending fight or a game-deciding fight is going to be coming up in the next few moments, then this is something that you just should do. If you can't afford to buy anything else, then just do it. You can see that he's not going in on Gangplank because Gangplank has the Guardian Angel, and Gangplank has so many resistances. He is going to take the kill onto Fiddle, and he manages to escape, and this is going to be on him to try to make stuff happen. He's inside of Zhonya's right now. He's trying to make plays happen, and he does. So he carried the fuck out of that team fight. Alright, we'll go back and watch that. So it was really intelligent that he doesn't... I feel like a lot of people would probably take the bait there. You can't take the bait. He has a Guardian Angel. You cannot go in on that. The other thing is that you have to know that you don't have any intel on Fiddlesticks. So you don't know exactly where he's coming, and he's coming from over the right-hand side, and you know that he's coming from the right-hand side, so that's why Apdo actually angles on the left-hand side. So his first goal is to try to delete Fiddlesticks. Successful in his goal, and then he manages to get away with an E, and then he knows that he has to go in. And you can see that when he does go in, he has to just basically do his initial combo, and then he has to go into Zhonya's, like, immediately. And this is just to soften it up. It softens it up for the rocket range, softens it up for Echo, so they can get in, get out. This is also really important so that people, you know, can get their dangerous games. And then he's even actually a little bit slow on the combos right there. And this might just be one of those things that, you know, we talked about at the very beginning of the session where he doesn't smartcast. Okay, what? Banshee's Veil. Well, that's an interesting buy. That's a very, very, very interesting buy, but it might actually just be game over. Might just be game over. Echo says, good job, good job. And Blitzcrank says, GG move play. And then Nocturne says, noob top, fuck top. And then Echo types NGM. I don't know what the hell that means. And then Gangplank says, why me? And then Nocturne says, me top. So that was it for this game. I think the Banshee's Veil is a pretty weird buy. I think a GA would probably just do better. Because I don't see him ever getting locked up there. That's it for that.